I watch a new film every other day. Follow along for recommendations and reviews. Today, I just came back from the cinema from watching EFUNROYE Tinubu. When I tell you, I've been singing that like since I saw the trailer, to be honest. And starting off, let's start there. The soundtrack in this film, even if I don't understand Yoruba, there are some moments where like they are singing the songs and the vocals and the melodies are really matching the scene and just so much emotion in the music. So I really want to start out by shouting out the sound people and the soundtrack. So good. Something I want to say though, for anybody that is doing film, please, it's such a technical thing. If you're going to do subtitles, please make sure that if you're doing like white subtitles, make sure it has like a stroke on it, like a black stroke, because otherwise, against white in the film, it will just be blending. And there are some parts in this film where many people are wearing white, so the subtitles that are white are just blending in, so it's harder to read. So please just remember that. The film, I'm going to tell you what I wish I'd known going into this film without spoilers in this non-spoiler section. This film, I thought it was going to be like Fumilayo Ransom Kuti or like Adunio Gideon Birin, where it's like this woman that's like fighting like a freedom fighter. It is not. Let's start there. It is also not like, because in the trailer too, I kind of thought that maybe there was some supernatural aspect to this. So I was like, okay, is it going to be like Labake or Lododo? It's not really as well. This film, don't judge this woman too much. Actually, judge her because there's things to judge her. But just remember, you're judging that this film is set in a different time. This is a period piece where slave trade was still in effect, and this woman is in fact a slave trader. So you might judge her, and there's reasons to judge her. If you know you does things in this film that I'm like, Madam, like where someone like Fumila around some crazy those other women are like really doing like freedom fighting. This woman is a fighter for the capitalist agenda. Let's just say that. So you might not like her in some ways, but don't judge her too much. This is a different time. This film, I will also say, is really more so about like parts of Efuroye's life. Like just it has like a couple of subplots. I wish that the supernatural part was just a little bit more like I wish we had more explanations on that. That like that was a little bit more turned up in ways. We'll talk about that more in the spoilers. The film is star-studded though. I saw so many people in this film, like Wasabi, this girl from Wambetis. I saw some people that like we've seen in other films on the VDK Film Club. Femi Adebayo is in this, like Odunlade is in this, Kamo is in this. So many people. The film is long. I think sleep before you go in because there were moments where I definitely like felt myself falling asleep, but I made sure I stayed awake because I was curious enough to finish the film, and the film kept my attention. I wanted to know how it ended. Like I was invested, but I found myself battling sleep because of the length of it. It's a long film. I don't want to say any other things, so you can go and check out this film. And then for those of us who have watched, spoilers ahead in three, two, one. Let us go. All right, now we're in the spoiler section. Please, if you're going to write a comment that has spoilers, just write spoiler alert before you write your comment so that we don't spoil it for people that have not yet watched it. All right, let's start just. The first thing I want to talk about is Efunroye's like spiritual ability. You know, when this film starts, we are really seeing, especially in that flashback scene where she's like doing incantations and she's like fighting those men off, right? You see that they remember her being like a warrior fighting with powers. And even there in the market, she uses incantations and she uses powers against them. I wonder where that Efuruye kind of eventually went in the film. Because by the end of this film, she kind of ends up just being like a natural woman, like a very regular woman that kind of gets ousted by her community. Even against the foreigners that like are giving her all this hell, she doesn't really use powers against them. Like when she starts getting opposition, she doesn't really use her powers again. Like so I was like, I wish we understood like even that part where she was in that battle fighting all those people. What was that? Like that was she like a freedom fighter? Like what kind of fighting was she doing? Because I just wish we had more clarity on that part of things. I really wish we did. The death scene of her boys really made me sad, really made me very emotional. Like I was like, hey, yeah. After she now, died, because I'm assuming what I understand is that like that part where we see her with the arrows in her back and her boys died. I'm assuming that she also died because it now goes back to at the beginning of the film, a coffin is opened and she comes out, and that is when she's now told to either choose the feminine or the masculine. She chooses the masculine to get courage, which then, as we now go to see in her like eventual storyline of trying to like get a child, we see that when she now eventually, goes to the Afa and then even sleeps with him after taking the potion. Which, by the way, that potion, I kept on wondering, why are you always taking the potion when your husband is not around? You don't go wait for him to come back. When I want that, you can't drink the potion and then you do the do. Like, why do you always take it and then wait for him? It's very strange. But anyways, when she goes to the Afa, we now find out that okay, it was in that thing we saw in the beginning that she chose the masculine side. So that's kind of what has now caused her not her inability to have a child. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, that is why, because at first I was like, wait, why can't she have children when she already had it before? Then I realized, oh, that part where she's waking up from the dead, she had actually died, I guess, after the arrow, and that is when she now came back after the death, and she can't now have children. That explained it in my brain. In case you were confused, that's what was happening. Then moving on to the slave trade storyline, that part here, I was like, I had to just keep remembering that this was a different time. But you see, when Efuroye drowned those slaves, I was watching like this, aghast. I said, eh? But then I had to keep remembering that, okay, in the context of this world, this is essentially merchandise. Yes, these are people, and that's why so you can judge her, and there's no reason to judge her, but remember the times. These are people, but in the context of this is also like merchandise. It would be the equivalent of somebody trying to shortchange you, and you're like, I would rather burn my goods than sell them to you. Only that here, of course, the goods were human lives. So that part where she drowns the slaves, I'm like, whoa. Although Efunroye's storyline, when I tell you that it ended up just really being like she basically was like telling the people, the kings of that time, how to better trade with the people. So she was like a capitalist queen, and she was like, "How this is how you can better trade." Then eventually, the wise people are like, "Why are we even really listening to this woman?" And then the people, the chiefs and people that she even like got to power, when their money is now being affected, they are like, "Whoa, Efunroye, you're too much trouble. You have to go because you're kind of stopping our bag now." And eventually she's ousted. So this story kind of starts out this kind of supernatural, powerful Efuronye, but it ends up being like a capitalist queen is ousted because money is beginning to be affected. And I was like, okay, this is not where I thought this story was going, but all right, cool. Another thing I'll talk about is the Kosoko storyline. When her first husband, no, her second husband, Adele, dies, because he's not the first one to have died in that kingship role. Like another king before him had died after like 2 years. He was afraid. He died after 2 years, and they kept on going, "Is Kosoko, is Kosoko?" And we really see Kosoko played by Femi Adebayo really have his Stefanico like I want this thing, and we see him and understand he's supposed to be like a fearful man. The way he's eventually just kind of like done with, like I think if Ray's third husband goes into battle with him, they now later say, "Oh, he kind of just ran with his tail between his legs and left for a different place," and that was all. I thought he would come back. Nope, that was the end of his storyline. For a man so vicious and so gung gung gung, I really thought that there would be more to him, but that was kind of just the end of his storyline, and I was like, oh, okay. Also, what happened to Itele's run as king? Like, there's a moment that he's just kind of king. Next thing, the narrator kind of says there was some struggle about succession, and then with the help of Efunroye, this new king, played by Odunlade, is hired or is elected. I'm like, what happened to Itele? Why did he? We don't really have an explanation. Abi, did we? What happened there? Ultimately, this film ends, and when she's ousted from Lagos and she now like goes sadly, I was like, this just feels so sad. It's like the story of a woman, like I said earlier, that gave her all to these people and taught them how to do business better, and then eventually just like kicked her away because she was now bad for business. Which is just not what I expected from, a woman wakes up at the beginning of this film from a coffin in this very supernatural place. We are seeing her using powers, and I just thought there would be more. The way this went from a supernatural story and this very like dynamic thing to like she's a capitalist queen that gets ousted at the end. I don't know. So I guess for me, like I enjoyed the film, but I just was also like, oh, this is not really what I was expecting. I wish that the supernatural part was explained a little bit more. They did more with that, but I guess that was not so true to form of Efunroye's life. I'm assuming that Efunroye is a real person, So what we got of her life was interesting. And Fathia Balogun, shout out to you. Everybody was a part of making this. Shout out to you. The film was well done, especially in terms of the like production. So like shout out to everybody that was a part of making this. If you've watched this film, I'm very curious to know what you think about it. So please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Also, if you've watched this whole video and you have no idea who I am, my name is VDK. I'm the curator of the VDK Film Club, where every day we watch something new and we just about it. Follow along. All right. Until the next film that I watch and the next video that I make, have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.